Alright, Karina baby, we're going to do today the 24th from A Year Full of Stories. Our storybook today for the 24th is Forgotten. I've been to dancing class today, and now it's time for home. Everybody else has gone, but I am here alone. I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting by the door. I'm sure I've been forgotten. It's nearly 4:30. My dancing teacher says she's sure that Mama won't be long. She's never been this late before. Something must be wrong. I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting by the gate. I'm sure I've been forgotten. It's getting very late. But then I hear a squeal of tires. A door slams outside, and Mama's running up the path. Her arms are open wide. My darling, I am sorry. Oh, my precious little lamb. Of course you weren't forgotten. You could never be forgotten. I was in a traffic jam. Mamas, no matter what, will never, ever, ever forget their babies. Ever. Ever. Never, ever. Right? Their babies will never be forgotten by the mama. Or by the papa. So she was just stuck in a traffic jam. See those clothes behind me, Karina? Those ones stacked on the bed? Those are actually yours. I have actually a bunch of stuff for you. I got you some dresses, I got you some t-shirts, I got you some different things because you're going to be here soon. You have to be here soon. It's going to eventually happen, and I just want you to have things that you want to wear, things that you could go through everything, whatever you don't want we could give away, but I want you to have choices and options. I think about you every second of every single day. I dream about you, and I miss you so incredibly much. You have no idea how much I miss you. I'm hoping that your days are going okay, honey. I pray for you constantly. Alright, so the next storybook in the world's best fairy tales is The Red Shoes. There was once a little girl, a dainty and pretty little girl. But because she was very poor, she always went barefoot in summer, and in winter wore heavy wooden shoes, which made her insteps very red, dreadfully red. In the heart of the village lived an old shoemaker's widow. She sewed a pair of shoes as well as she possibly could out of scraps of old red cloth. Though they were rather clumsy, but she might well, and she wanted them to be a present for the little girl. The little girl's name was Karen. On the very day her mother was buried, Karen was given the red shoes and wore them for the first time. They were not only suitable for mourning, but as she had no others, she walked in them, bare-legged, behind the poor pine coffin. Suddenly, a large old carriage drove up with a large old lady in it. She looked at the little girl, and feeling very sorry for her, she said to the parson, "Let me take the little girl, and I'll look after her." Karen thought that it was all because of the red shoes, but the old lady said they were hideous and had them burned. Oh my. However, she gave her some neat new clothes and had her taught to read and sew. People said she was very pretty, but her mirror said, "You are more than pretty, you are lovely." Now the queen happened to travel through the country, and she had her little daughter with her. Naturally, she was a princess. People soon flocked to the palace to see them, and Karen was among the crowd. The little princess stood at the window in a snow-white dress to let herself be admired. She was wearing nothing, not a train, nor a golden crown, but she had on a pair of beautiful red morocco shoes. Of course, they were far nicer than the ones the shoemaker's widow had made for little Karen. There could be nothing in the world like a pair of red shoes. When Karen was old enough to be confirmed, She had new clothes and was to have new shoes as well. The fashionable shoemaker in town took the measure of her little feet. He fitted her in his own house, where lovely shoes and shiny leather boots were arranged in great glass cases. The display was very attractive, but it gave no pleasure to the old lady, whose eyesight was rather weak. Among all the shoes was a pair of red leather ones exactly like the shoes the little princess had worn. How beautiful they were! In fact, the shoemaker said that they had been made for a nobleman's daughter, but they had not fitted her very well. I suppose they are patent leather. They are so shiny, said the old lady. Yes, they are shiny, said Karen. The shoes fitted her as they were, and they were bought. But the old lady did not know that they were red, or she would never have allowed Karen to wear them for her confirmation. However, that's what happened. Everybody looked at Karen's feet when she walked up the aisle of the church towards the chapel. It seemed to her as if those old pictures on the wall, those portraits of clergymen and their wives with ruffles and long black garments, fixed their eyes upon her red shoes. She thought of nothing else when the rector laid his hand upon her head and spoke to her of holy baptism, the covenant with God, and told her that she was now a grown-up Christian. The organ played a Solomon melody. The children sang with their lovely voices, and the old choir master sang, but Karen could think of nothing but her new red shoes. By the afternoon, everybody had informed the old lady that Karen had worn red shoes, so she told Karen that it was very naughty of her and not at all the proper thing to do, and that therefore whenever she went to church she must wear black shoes, even if they were her oldest pair. The following Sunday there was Holy Communion, and Karen looked at the black shoes, and she looked at the red ones. She looked at the red ones again, and finally put them on. It was a beautiful sunny weather. Karen and the old lady followed the dusty path through the cornfield. At the church door stood an old soldier with a crutch and a funny long beard that was more red than white. In fact, it was particularly red. He bowed right down to the ground and asked the old lady if he might dust her shoes. Karen also put out her little foot. My, what beautiful dancing shoes, said the soldier. Stick on tightly when you dance. And he slapped the shoes with his hand. The old lady gave the soldier a penny and went into the church with Karen. Everyone stared at Karen's red shoes, and all the patriots stared. And when Karen knelt at the altar and put her lips to the gold chalice, she thought only of the red shoes. It seemed to her as if they were floating before her eyes. She forgot to sing the hymns, and she forgot to say the Lord's Prayer. Then everyone left the church, and the old lady got into her carriage. Karen was about to step in after her when the old soldier said, "Look at the pretty dancing shoes." And Karen could not keep her feet still. She just could not resist dancing a few steps, and when once she had begun, her feet continued to dance. It was as if the shoes had gained control over them. She danced around the corner of the church. She could not help herself. The coachman had to run after the girl, take hold of her, and lift her into the carriage. But her dancing feet knocked the nice old lady violently. Finally, they took her shoes off, and her legs were still. At home, the shoes were put away in a cupboard, but Karen could not resist looking at them now and then. Soon after this, the old lady lay ill, and the doctor said that she could not live. She needed constant attention and careful nursing, and this was naturally Karen's duty. But a big ball was being given in town, and Karen was invited. The little girl looked at the old lady, who in any case could not live, and then she looked at the red shoes, for she thought there could be no sin in doing that. And she put on the red shoes, thinking there was no sin in doing that either. Then she went off to the ball and started dancing. Now, do you think she should have left the woman who decided to take care of her? I don't think so. She should have stayed home. But honestly, I understand the feeling. She was probably home for days, weeks, months, taking care of this nice old lady who took her in. And she was probably just like, I need a break. She probably just needed a break. Everyone needs a break sometimes. So, this is kind of back and forth, right? I used to take care of my papa, as you know, your grandpapa, and he had AIDS. And my job was to stay home with him a lot of the time. So I'd be going to school for a week, and I'd be off for a week. And then I'd go to school for a week or two, and I'd be off for a week or two. Well, we had something that was going on in school the one day. I was in the 4th grade. Right? I was either in 4th or 5th grade. I was either Mrs. Smith's class or I was in 4th. Maybe I was in 5th grade. And I decided I wanted to go to school that day. So in the morning, I grabbed my books and I got ready to go. And I went down to catch the bus and I went to school. It was either 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. I honestly don't remember what grade I was in. And I decided I wanted to go to school that day. And it wasn't a day I was supposed to be going. I knew I wasn't supposed to be going. My father needed me. And I decided to go to school. Well, I got home and we were living in my mother's house, like the one that she got. She was on Section 8 at the time. And it's the only time she ever got a Section 8 house, but it's just because it was a very short stint of our lives. But anyway, so I went up the stairs in the house that we were in, and I walked all the way to the back because it was my twins' room, my sister's room, and it was the boys' room, my sister's room, and then it was my room. My mother didn't have a room. She used to sleep downstairs on the couch. And so I walked back into my bedroom. I opened the door. I had 2 beds in my room. I had one right here and one along the wall. My father was laying in the bed along the wall, and he sat up, and his eyes were glassed over, and he was like, I needed you, So I understand this little girl's dilemma of, should I stay home or should I not? Like, every once in a while you do need that break. So, and it wasn't like I was skipping school entirely. Like, usually my father would come down and pick me up early, and, we'd leave, go places and do things, He needed me to give him his medication and to help him with anything that he needed. So, alright. So, I understand this little girl's dilemma. She's like, so, thinking there was no sin in doing that either. Then she went to the ball and started dancing. When she wanted to turn to the right, the shoes danced to the left. When she wanted to dance up one end of the room, the shoes danced down the other. They danced down the stairs, through the streets, and out the town gate. Dance she did, and dance she might, straight out into the dark forest. She saw something shining between the trees, and because of its face, she thought it was the moon. But it was the old soldier with the red beard, who nodded to her and said, "Look at the pretty dancing shoes." Do you think that maybe the man with the beard put a spell over her shoes? Because she wasn't dancing before that. Filled with terror, Karen tried to kick off the red shoes, but they stuck to her feet. She tore off her stockings, but the shoes had grown fast to her feet, and she danced. She did, and dance she must, over field and meadow, in rain and sunshine, by day and by night. See, this little girl wasn't trying to leave this old lady for more than probably a few hours, and now all of a sudden she has on dancing shoes that she can't get off. It was the most horrible at night. She danced through the gate of the churchyard, but the dead did not dance in there. They had something far more sensible to do. She tried to sit down on the grave of a pauper, she where bitter tasty grew. But for Karen there was neither rest nor peace, and as she danced toward the open church door, she saw an angel sitting there with a long white robe and with white rings reaching from her shoulders right to the ground. Her face was grave and severe, and in her hands he held a broad and shining sword. Dance thou shalt, he said. Dance in thy red shoes till thou art pale and cold, till thy body shrivels to a skeleton. Dance from door to door, and wherever proud conceited little children live. Thou shalt knock at the door till they hear thee and fear thee. Dance, I command thee, dance. Have mercy, shrieked Karen, but she did not hear what the angel answered, for the shoes carried her through the gates into the fields, along the highway, and by way, dancing, ever and ever dancing. One morning she danced past the door she knew well. Inside a hymn was being sung, and a coffin was carried out covered with flowers. Then she realized that the old lady was dead, and she felt that she herself was forsaken by all and accused by the angel of God. Dance she did, and dance she must, dance through the dark night. The shoes carried her on over stump and thorn. She was screeched till she bled. Oh, and thorn. She was scratched till she bled. She danced across the hearth of the lonely little house. She knew that the executioner lived there, and she tapped with hard fingers on the window pane and cried, come out, I can't come in, for I'm dancing. And the executioner said, you don't seem to know who I am. I chop off the heads of wicked people, and I can feel my axe beginning to quiver. Don't chop off my head, said Karen, for that I can never repent of my sin, but chop off my feet with the red shoes on. Then she confessed her sin, and the executioner chopped off her feet with the red shoes on. And the shoes danced away with the little feet still in them, over the fields into the depths of the forest. Then he made her a pair of crutches and taught her a hymn, the one the patriots always sang. She kissed the hand which had wielded the axe, and went away across the hearth. I have suffered enough because of the red shoes, she said. Now I will go to church and show myself to everyone. And she went quickly to the church door. But when she arrived there, the red shoes were dancing in front of her, so that she became very frightened and turned back. The whole week through she was very sad and shed. Look at this little girl. And I guess that's the executioner. Oh no, that's the guy with the red beard. So that's the soldier. The little girl and the soldier. See the soldier in the tree, baby? She shed many bitter tears, but when Sunday came, she said, there, now I have suffered and struggled long enough. I think I am just as good as many of the other people who sit in the church and hold their heads high. She set forth confidently, but no sooner did she reach the churchyard gate than she saw the red shoes dancing in front of her again, and she was terrified. She turned back, away from the church, and repented of her sins with all her heart. See, that's what God says that he sees. He sees our heart, right? So we have to have pure hearts. Then she went to the rectory and begged to be taken into service there. She would be hardworking and do all she could. The wages were not important if only she might have a roof over her head and be with good people. How true is that? How true is that? Doesn't matter. The people that you surround yourself with are really what matters the most. You know, you want to have good people in your life no matter what. How true is that? So the rectory's wife felt sorry for Karen and took her into her service. When Karen was serious and industrious, she sat quietly and listened in the evening when the rector read aloud from the Bible. The little children were very fond of her, but when they spoke of frills and finery and of being as beautiful as a queen, she would shake her head. The following Sunday, when they went to the church, they asked her to go with them, but with tears in her eyes she looked sadly at the crutches, and the others went to hear the word of God. Left alone, she went into her tiny room. It was just big enough for a bed and a chair. She sat down with her hymn book in her hand, and while she was reading it devoutly, the wind carried the organ notes from the church straight into her room. She raised her face, all wet with tears, and said, "Lord, help me." Then the sun shone brightly, and the angel of God, in a white robe, the same whom she had seen that other night at the church door, stood before her. Instead of the sharp sword, he held a beautiful green branch covered with roses. He touched the ceiling with it, raising it high up, and the golden star appeared. Then he touched the walls, and then opened wide. She saw the organ. She saw the old pictures of the clergymen and their wives, and she saw the congregation sitting in their flower-decorated pews, singing from their hymn books, for the church itself had come to the poor girl in her narrow little room. Or was it she who had been brought to the church? She sat in the pew with the people from the rectory, and when they had sung the hymns, they looked up and nodded to her, saying, "It was right of you to come, Karen." "It was by God's mercy that I came," she said. The music of the organ pealed forth, and the voices of the children's choir rang out in mellow and lovely tones. The bright rays of the sun streamed warmly through the window to the pew where Karen sat. Her heart was filled with the sunshine of peace and joy that it broke, and the sunbeams carried her soul to heaven, and no one there questioned her about the red shoes. See, they let the red shoes go. Life is short, baby, and if someone were to mention the red shoes, then she wouldn't have had full and total forgiveness, right? Usually churches and synagogues do unconditional love. So even when you mess up, you could always go back. Because people mess up and we make mistakes and we learn from them, and God gives us trials and tribulations in our lives so that this way our heart is soft. If we had no trials, no tribulations, if no one ever goes through anything, we might have bitter, hard, stony hearts, and we might not be compassionate or sensitive towards other people's situations. And the best thing that we could do as people, because our lives are very short, right, is have sympathy and empathy towards everyone else's situation as well. And just like, your papa needs unconditional love, right? Just like mama needs unconditional love, just like you need unconditional love. So yeah, the situation gets hard, but forgiveness should always be there. Papa used to say that mom is the most forgiving person that he's ever met in his entire life. And he used to say a lot of things, but that was one of the things that he used to say, because I do forgive quickly, and you know, I do just try to just move on from the situation because I don't like conflict. I'm not good at conflict. Because I do think that life is short, and I do think that everyone just needs unconditional love. And acceptance. Love, seen, and accepted, right? That's what I want you to be. I want you to feel loved. I want you to feel seen. I want you to feel accepted no matter where you are in life. And I want you to know that where you eat and where you sleep is your home. So your body is where you eat, your body is where you sleep every single day consistently. It's the one thing that you own and that you have every single day consistently with you. I want you to be very loving towards your body. Like this little girl in the book, she loved these red shoes, right? She was so focused on these red shoes, but the red shoes led her to destruction, right? She had to dance and dance and dance, and then she couldn't stop dancing. And, you know, and then she had to go and get these red shoes cut out, right? She got the executioner cut off her feet. So this way she could stop dancing and move on to something better, right? So then she had to repent, and then she was eventually just accepted back into her community, which is a good thing. But the old lady who took her in had passed away. So, you know, and no one ever stopped and asked her about the red shoes or anything else. She was able to move on, which is a good thing, because then it gives her, you know, a good beginning with her church family. So that was a good book. I like that book a lot. Alright, let's do We Sit and Watch the Rain as it falls from the sky, and we are glad to be inside where it is warm and dry. Oh yes, I do love the rain. It keeps the earth so clean and helps the pretty flowers grow from the mountains to the streams. Let's do Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. Well, I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming forth to carry me home, a band of angels coming after me, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. Well, sometimes I'm up and sometimes I'm down, coming forth to carry me home. But still I feel my soul is heavenly bound, coming forth and carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. Now if you get there before I do, coming forth to carry me home, tell all my friends I'll be coming there too, coming forth and carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. You know that I'll be coming home, coming home, coming home to you, coming forth to carry me home. You know my word is good, you know my word is true, coming forth and carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. You know that I love you. Coming forth to carry me home. You know my word is good, you know my word is true. Coming forth and carry me home, swing low. Sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home, swing low. Sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. Alright, Karina baby, let's do Lila Tove. Lila Tove, and good night to you. Lila Tove, may your dreams come true. We sing Lila Tove, may Israel protect you throughout the night until we reach the morning light. Karina baby, you are 5 years, 5 months, and 14 days old today. Mama can't believe it. You're getting so big and so beautiful. And where does beauty come from? Mama always tells you this. It comes from inside your heart, right? It's the way that you feel about things, the way that you think about things, the way that you don't hold grudges, the way that you're not envious, the way that you're not jealous, right? It's your heart that makes you absolutely stunning. And Mama knows that you have a good heart. I know that you do. I miss you, my angel, I do. I miss you so much. And like Papa always used to say, Mama's Papa's sun, Papa's my moon, and you are quite literally our rainbow baby, and we love you, no matter what. We love you, baby. I hope that you have a beautiful day today, and I can't wait to see you soon.